Holy shit, we are back. UFC 2024 betting season has arrived. Welcome to the show, everybody. I don't know if you can tell I'm excited. We are ready to rock and roll for 2024, and we've got UFC Vegas 84 coming up for us. Magomed Ankalaev versus Johnny Walker. We're going to be breaking down 3 plays here like we always do on the show, and let's get this shit going. You know what I mean? It hasn't been, listen, the last 3 weeks, seriously, felt like 3 months. But I don't know if you can tell, pretty damn excited here. So we're ready to rock and roll this Saturday night, kicking it off. Awesome card next weekend as well, too. But like we always say in the show, it's not about these high-profile events. It's just not about those. It's about the fact that UFC's around 40, 42 events of the year on Saturdays, lots of betting opportunities. Feel really good so far about the client plays that I do have up. Link down in the description. I've got a 5% plus money play up right now. 3 plays in total. Like I always do, I'll have about 4 or 5 plays, maybe a little bit more depending, but going to have a lot of plays there. If you want to take a look, link down in the description. Also, our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. If you deposit 100, they'll give you 100 extra dollars to play with. Link down in the description as well too. So the fantasy side of things, I always post those on Twitter at Kyle Anthony UFC. So take a look at all that fun stuff there. But we're gonna take a sip here and we're gonna dive into this. We're going right in. I'm gonna be honest with you, Peroni. Good beer. Good, really good beer. All right. So, first fight we're going to be talking about here is going to be Magomed Ankalaev minus 550. On the other side here, you've got Johnny Walker plus 410. Now, before I get into this, I'm really going to try to make this more concise show, depending if I've got any kind of guest on here, maybe longer, but I'm trying to just get you guys information and get you guys out of here. So that's what we're going to be looking to do here. So we're going to dive right into it. Magomed Ankalaev, 550. Johnny Walker, friend of the show, who was on the podcast last year, plus 410. Let's make sure we all good here. So when you're looking at this fight here, first thing is that this fight is a rematch from a fight back in October. Didn't see a lot of it there because the fight ended early. Illegal knee. You saw that both of them firing off some good shots, being somewhat patient, exchanging leg kicks, landing. Both of them looked pretty good in general, just being in a comfort zone there. And you did see a nice shot from Ankalaev, which everybody's got different opinions on that shot. Some people say he was playing possum. Other people say he was really hurt. I'm not really sure. I kind of go with the possum side of things a little bit. I'm sure he landed a nice shot. But Johnny does a crazy jumping knee, almost lands it on Ankalaev, but Ankalaev gets a takedown. Johnny's got a knee down. He throws a knee to the head. Fight over. Johnny Walker has no fucking clue where he is, and that's the end of that. But here we have it here. Now, the first interesting part of this is the fact that roughly this line closed around minus 350 for Ankalaev, minus 380 for Ankalaev. Now we're looking at this price at minus 550 and climbing. I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's pretty interesting how much has kind of poured in on him since this fight was reannounced. We're not really seeing too much money coming in on Johnny Walker at all. Most of the handles I'm seeing is high Ankalaev money coming in here. And you listen, for all the right reasons also too, the guy is elite, the guy has striking, and that's the thing about Ankalaev when you're looking at this fight is the fact that he has paths. Without a doubt he's got paths, and it's really going to be 2 things in my opinion. It's going to be that patience striking, easy for me to say, having that patience in the striking, working his good striking, and then on the other side of it, utilizing his grappling. If he can use those 2 tools, I think it's going to help him out very much here. We've seen that when he's patient in times, he can really be very crisp with his striking. He really mixes it up at times. The issue for me here is that we have seen it. I'm not telling you probably something you don't know here, but when he's overly patient, he can be boring as hell. But not only just that, is the fact that it's just a low volume striking fight, he kind of plays into his opponent. If it's low volume, they're going to pitter patter back. We saw recently, Ankalaev against Magomed. Ankalaev against Magomed. Ankalaev against Blachowicz, and that fight was a terrible fight. It was for the title, a big opportunity. You would think he's going to go after it. Blachowicz slamming the front leg of Ankalaev. Ankalaev did not really look to check very much there too, but just a slow-paced fight, boring, just not much going on. Even prior to that, Thiago Santos fight, they both kind of stayed at range, worked at range, didn't do too much. And that inactivity, to me, can open up certain doors for certain fighters. If they're going to take advantage of it, can open up certain doors. Now, you're also looking at it, this lapse of time, I think can help Johnny Walker in spots where he's going to be having some of the physical advantages over Magomed. But the fact that, if he can try to kind of at least not fall for some of this crazy stuff that Johnny Walker does, these spinning kicks, these flying arsenals of jumping knees, and all these crazy things that he does do. One of those things can end the fight without a doubt. One of the things can end the fight. But the other side of it is if he's too patient, Johnny could maybe take advantage. The other side is that if he does grapple. Now, yes, I do believe that Magomed has grappling. I think he's great on the ground. He has ability to get the finishes. He's definitely very knowledgeable. He's technical on the ground. He has a 31% takedown success rate. Now, that's not the highest when you're looking at it, but also I think a lot of people are sleeping on Johnny Walker's ground game and his jiu-jitsu. I really think people just think he can get absolutely washed in this fight here, where he's going to be able to be kind of controlled on the ground easily, not really be able to do too much. And that's where Ankalaev can kind of keep him there, smother him there, hunt for submission. And I think Johnny Walker, which we did see, even with that jumping knee in that first fight, he was being knowledgeable. He kind of went up against the fence, had the knee. He was about to get up before he got kneed in the face. I think that there is that opportunity for him to create the space, to be able to get back to his feet. And I actually think this fight is going to take place mostly standing. I do think that that's where this is going to be happening. I think Ankalaev will look to shoot, but also he's got to cut distance, and I think the big part here, if they're on the feet or even if he's looking to cut distance, is going to be the fact that Johnny Walker has a 7-inch reach advantage. And I think that just is kind of being overstated when you're, is not being stated enough, I should say, when you're looking at this fight. I don't really hear people really talking about this 7-inch reach advantage and the fact that he's far more explosive. He's going to be the more athletic guy between the two. And I think that, yes, the wrestling and stuff like that could be there for Magomed, but also the fact that, Johnny's awkward. Johnny's unorthodox. Johnny throws strikes from different angles. And I think these are the things that can help him in this particular fight overall. And also, Johnny likes hammering on the legs. We did see that Ankalaev just doesn't really check leg kicks very well. He will fire them off himself as well, too. But Johnny is a little bit more dynamic on the feet, and that could help him here. We saw Blachowicz just hammering them. The fact that Ankalaev, and even you heard Joe Rogan talk about this in one of his fights, where he was talking about how much and how heavy Ankalaev is on his feet because he predominantly has a boxing approach. He predominantly kind of digs in and throws, and that allows leg kicks to happen. Now, a guy like Johnny Walker is going to look for that. If he's a little bit more patient, and if he can kind of be like that, where not as patient as he was with Anthony Smith, that was a little too patient. But if he can be patient and find these openings, that can help him out big time. They're both finishers as well, too. You see the number. The books are really planning on this one not going the distance. But Johnny Walker, 21 wins, 16 knockouts, 3 by submission, 2 decisions. You've got on the other side, Ankalaev, 18 victories, 9 knockouts, 1 sub, 8 decisions. So these are guys that definitely have the ability to get those finishes. And that being said, the big elephant in the room, and the thing that I didn't talk about, we're talking about some good things about Johnny Walker, is the chin. And we know that this is going to be a weak spot for him, and we know all of that stuff. But I also think that's a little bit overstated too. I think that people are kind of making too much of it. Yes, he does not have the greatest chin. There's no doubt. But I don't think it's as weak as people say. The only 2 people that knocked him out in the UFC was Jamal Hill and Corey Anderson. So it's not like he has been rocked and destroyed by a bunch of guys. He has been knocked out by some good strikers, especially Hill, who, landed a great shot, high-level striker, packs a punch. You can't really knock him for those kinds of losses. So to me, I look at this spot. I think in order for Ankalaev to cover this minus 550, minus 580, where this number's going here, he has to almost knock him out in the first 2 rounds. Otherwise, if it starts kind of being a close fight in general, there's just no way he covers this number. And to me, this is a dog or pass spot. I don't feel comfortable at this number. I think the truer number would probably be more around that minus, where it was before, minus 320, minus 300, maybe in that range. This line has gotten so crazy. You get Johnny Walker plus 410. I actually like it. I am taking, as a little sprinkle spot there, dog or pass, Johnny Walker plus 410. Now, the other one we're going to be talking about here is going to be Matt Selsberg minus 130 against Preston Parsons plus 110. This one here is also going to be interesting here because you've got Selsberg, who's coming in on short notice. He's a well-rounded guy, decent kind of everywhere, more predominantly going to be a striker. We've got Preston Parsons on the other side here, and this guy's going to be a pressure wrestler. He's going to push forward. He's going to keep that pace. He's going to look to kind of get the control time, submission hunt, and those are kind of his paths to it. And they both do have paths. So without a doubt, they both have paths. So I do understand why this number is where it is, where you're kind of looking at almost that, very close line because they both have pass. And Selsberg, going to be the better striker, going to have that power, willingness to go in there and trade. And Preston, yes, the striking is probably not really going to be there, but his path is going to be that relentless takedowns, the relentless pushing forward, getting in your face and trying to hold you down or look for that submission, as I was saying before. Now, Matt, he's 4-5 in the UFC, 1-3 over his last 4, has not looked that great overall. Preston Parsons, 1-2 since entering the UFC, coming off a split decision loss to Trevin Giles, where this was a fight actually that I kind of would give it. Hold on a second. I kind of would give it more to Preston, where I think Preston did enough. Now, the striking was 55-42, Giles' side. He did land a couple more shots there, but Preston had 3 takedowns with 5 minutes of control time. I thought that was enough. Now, if he did get that nod, did get that victory, this line looks a little bit different now. And I think the line would probably be around minus 140, probably for Parsons, because they'd say, oh, the wrestling's going to be there. Oh, he won the last 2. And then you start to talk it up. That's why you have to do film study. I think that's the most important part of a lot of this. Stats, all those other things are important as well, and line movement, and obviously all that stuff, and getting value. But the big part here, you got to look at footage of past fights. And to me, there's opportunity for him in this spot. And again, if he was 2-1 in the UFC, I think this line would be a lot different here. Now, the other part of it is that Preston will go path of least resistance. He's not going to get cute and just start swinging and banging with Selsberg. I think that's going to be a huge mistake for him if he does that. And pretty much he doesn't do that. He pretty much will go forward. He will look to exchange his shots, exchange shots, limit the shots, and look to level change when he can. He averages 3.11 takedowns per 15 minutes. And you add in the fact that if he gets those takedowns, great top control, heavy on top, he'll really control very well. He's got slick transitions, very knowledgeable, and he knows he's going to have that advantage against Selsberg on the ground. Now, also you add in the fact how quick he is on his level changes. I do give him credit for that. He can have somewhat of a suspect chin or maybe some iffy stand-up game a little bit when it comes to Parsons, but he's going to look to level change. He's going to time these takedowns pretty well. He has a strong single and strong double leg takedown, and I think those are going to be there for him overall. Also, the fact that this is, again, going to be the apex cage. This is, again, going to be in the apex cage, and I think that also is going to assist Parsons in what he wants to do. He's going to bully forward, bulldoze forward, get Selsberg up against the fence, and just be relentless with these takedowns. Now, Selsberg has that vulnerability. He absolutely has a vulnerability when it comes to the takedowns. He early is a kind of guy that can utilize a lot of his strength, kind of push his opponent off of him, and then find opportunities to kind of create space. That works early. That works early in fights with a guy like Parsons, who is absolutely, and I keep saying this, is gonna keep shooting and gonna keep shooting. He's not gonna look to strike. And that, again, at a point, He only has to win 2 of the rounds, and I think early it could be dicey. And if he gets out of that, I think Parsons has that cardio to continually fuel these takedowns and continually push that pace. You also look at some of the wrestlers in the past that Selsberg fought. You know, he fought AJ Fletcher, who I'm not very high on, but AJ Fletcher was 4 for 6 on takedowns. Jeremiah Wells, explosive wrestler, he was 6 for 10 on takedowns. So this is a spot where I really think that Parsons has the opportunity to get the control time. If he can get a finish late, it's possible. But I think it's more in the lines of really controlling him for the 3 rounds, winning 2 of the 3, and winning on the scorecard. So at this point here, I'm comfortable enough taking Preston Parsons plus 110. I like it. I like the plus money here. It's definitely going to be somewhat of a sweaty fight, I think, in certain spots in that first round. But I think Parsons sticks to the game plan, keeps pushing forward, and finds a way to get the victory. So I do like Preston Parsons plus 110 as my other free play. Now we're going to get a little, not Preston Parsons, we're going to get a little Peroni here. All right. So now the last one we're going to talk about here is going to be Marcus McGee minus 280 against Gaston Balanos plus 225. So this one here, looking at it here, you know, out the gate, kind of when I just, you know, again, when I'm looking at fights, kind of pinpointing the ones I want to really target. That's why on my show, I don't go over every fucking fight. Because a lot of times where people talk about these on shows, like, well, here's the information, but I don't like it. I don't like it. I look for particular fights that are not my client plays, but are the next level down that I really like, that I find opportunities to make money. And that's what I'm looking to do. And in this spot here, when I first looked at it, line looked wide. Line looked wide to me, you know, and you start to kind of dig back and look at really what Marcus McGee and why he would be a big favorite, and came from LFA. You know, looked pretty good. Again, it's LFA. And, you know, he beats Journey Newsom, who's 1-4 in the UFC. He beats JP Buys, who's 0-4 in the UFC. Not the highest level guys when you're looking at it. But on the other side here, Balanos, not like he beat a high level guy either. He ended up beating Aaron Phillips. Not very good, but he ends up going out there and getting the victory overall. Now, the big knock on Gaston is really going to be his terrible wrestling. You know, his terrible grappling. You know, we've consistently seen. We've consistently seen that, you know, if he's taken down, he is a fish out of water. He does not look good. He, you know, off of his back, he looks not knowledgeable and just looks very, very green when he's on his back or defending takedowns. Not good hand position. Doesn't really, you know, put his hips in the right spot. A lot of things that he does not do well. So that, to me, you know, people are kind of looking at it. Oh, Marcus he's gonna wrestle. He's just gonna go out there and he's gonna fucking wrestle and he's gonna control him and all those things. But you look at it, you know, that's not his game. You know, that's not Marcus's game. Marcus is not a guy that's going to be looking for takedowns, going to be, you know, relentless with pushing that kind of stuff. That's just not who he is. He doesn't even come from a gym where his you know, primary gym. You know, that gym also is not really is anything but grappling. It's more of a striking gym. So again, it's not like he's not working on it, and I'm not even trying to say that shit. But what I'm trying to say is that this is not his game plan. You know, it may be the path of least resistance or where Gaston is vulnerable, but when you're looking at it, both of these guys are strikers. Both these guys are going to strike and going to stand and going to throw. And this may be, you know, one of the bangers of the entire card. I mean, this may be one of those absolutely fantastic fights where both these guys are swinging, limiting any kind of takedown or clinching, and it's going to be a striker's delight overall. And also the fact that, you know, Marcus, 7 of his 8 victories come by knockout. So again, he's focused on that. That's what he's looking to do. That's where he finds himself to be more, you know, obviously where his comfort zone is. Now, if this fight plays out on the feet, which I believe it will play out on the feet, this is a 50-50 fight. Like, if this fight plays out on the feet and there's limited grappling and both of these, you know, and Marcus is kind of, you know, maybe trying to level change or mix it up, whatever, and he can't, or he's not going for it, and Balanos becomes comfortable on the feet, this is again, 50-50 fight. I can't see it any other way. because of that. Now, Balanos, former Muay Thai champion, has more experience when it comes to the stand-up game overall, and he's this pressure striker, and I like the way that he brings it. He will not sit back. He will not allow the opponent to dictate the pace. He will bring it. He will have volume. He will have heavy intent on trying to knock you out. He's going to swing. He mixes it up very well. He's very unorthodox as well, too, on, just kind of the angles, his footwork, kind of how he switches stances. He mixes it up very well, and that can open up spots. And I think he's the slicker striker between the two. Marcus has power, and not saying that he's this terrible fighter by any means. But I think it's really a 50-50 fight overall. At this price, I just don't see it. Like, I really just don't see how Marcus covers this number and looks that comfortable unless he blasts him in that first round. I think this is one of those fights that's going to be some close rounds, go to the scorecards, and it's a flip of a fucking coin on who's going to be able to win that fight, because it's going to be so competitive in certain spots. But I do like what Balanos has to offer. And again, we're looking at a plus 225 number on a fight that I do believe is kind of a 50-50 fight. That's when I'm always going to be taking that plus money overall. You know me, guys. If you see my client plays, I'm always looking for plus money. I'm not looking for this, these big these big favorites, I'm looking for plus money, ways to get plus money. And that's why even last year, I was the number one return on investment capper at Wagertalk. Over the last 6 years, I'm top 5 profit earner across the board, across all sports since 2018. So again, I'm looking for value. I'm looking for spots. And here is another spot where I like Gaston. I think the value's there. The price is there. So I do like him to get the job done. So I'm taking Gaston Balanos plus 225. So there you have it for UFC Vegas 84, and I'm friggin' excited. I can't believe we're back. Holidays were great. I enjoyed them, but we are back. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. At Wagertalk, you will see me, Kyle Anthony. That's what we'll be at, and that's the show. We have a monster card next weekend. Excited about it. So let's get it. Let's cash.